Okay, hello. So, hi, good morning. Now, we're going to do the last part, which is reduction. Okay. Now, what is reduction? Reduction is converting the syllogisms of the second, third, and fourth figure into the first figure. Okay, now why is this done? There are a lot of reasons, but mainly Aristotle considered this first figure to be the valid and perfect versions, and he showed that all the other figures syllogisms can be converted into the first figure. That process is called reduction. There is two types. There is direct reduction. There is indirect reduction. We're going to see both. Now converting syllogism into valid modes of the first figure. So only one of these four will be the destination. Barbara, Celerant, Jerry, Perio. Okay. So let's see how to do direct first, and then we'll do indirect. Okay. Now, to do this, there are a few rules. You have to just straightforward apply these rules, and you will get your answer. Okay. So, what are the rules of direct reduction? First, if now what you have to check is you check the middle of the name. What is this middle of the name means? Uh, Sorry, that's my cat. Okay. Now, anything apart from the first letter is the middle of the name. Okay. So if in any of the valid modes, in the given mode's name, apart from the first letter, you have the letter S, that means simple converse. Okay, so S is simple converse. Simple converse is converting, interchanging subject with predicate, that is conversion, okay, reduction. Next rule is if you have the letter P, you again do converse, but it's conversion for accidents. This is only applicable when you have A or I. Okay, so if you have A, you make it I. If you have I, you make it A. And simple converse will be E or I. Okay. Now, what is this? Uh, like on which vowel or on which proportion you will do? That will decide by where the letter is coming. So, suppose if I have um, Dattisi. Dattisi mein, the S is coming after the minor premise, the second vowel. So that is the minor premise. So I'll be doing simple converse on the minor premise. We'll do that later on. Next rule, if you have the letter C, then no direct reduction is possible. But still, if you are given a question to convert into direct reduction, there are only two possible modes इसमें आता है ये C. So Barocco and Bocardo. Barocco का नाम change करके you have to make it Foxoco, and Bocardo का नाम change करके you have to make it Doxamosk. Okay. Now you apply the rules and get your answer. Next you have K. K stands for obversion. Okay. Obversion में subject remains the same, predicate का contradictory हो जाता है. That is non. आगे non लग जाएगा. And last rule is for M. M stands for transposition. Transposition simply means interchanging major premise and minor premise. Important information. Now we left out the first letter. So what is the purpose of the first letter? The first letter will tell you the destination of the mode. So suppose if you have B as the first letter, like Barako and Bocardo over here, then you know that you'll have to your end result will be Barbara. If you have D, then it will be Derry and so on. C, Celerin, F, L. Okay. So direct rules are very straightforward. If you have S in the name, then simple converse, P conversion per accidents, K upversion, M transposition, and if you have C, then you change the names and do it. The first letter will tell you which one you have to convert it into. Okay, now let's see few examples. Direct reduction of chemistries. Now, uh, you'll be given just this chemistries. Now, you'll have to remember कौन से figure में आता है chemistries. So, we know that chemistries is second figure. So, middle term will be in the predicate of both subject and middle term will be the predicate of my major premise as well as minor premise. So you make the second figure of syllogism and chemistry stressor, so you have A, E, and E. So A, E, and E. Okay, this is your syllogism. You write chemistries in like below it. Now, what are the letters that you have? You have M, you have S, and again you have S. Okay, personal suggestion, you can do M at the last. You can do before also, doesn't make a difference. So I have done simple converse. Now this S is coming after E, which is the second vowel. Second vowel means the minor premise. So I'll do simple converse on the minor premise. So that's what I've done over here. Okay. And also the last S comes after the conclusion. So it's over here. Okay. So now दोनों में simple converse करके I'm getting E का converse is E. I'm just interchanging. SEM becomes MES. SEP becomes PES. Okay. And major premise remains as it is. Now I'm doing M. Meaning जो major premise है वो minor हो जाएगा. Minor premise है वो major हो जाएगा. So MES, PAM, and PES. Now we have the first figure. Yes, middle term is in this position. So this is celery. So the name started with C, ended with celery. Okay, so done. Let's take one more example. Let's do direct reduction of Bocardo. Now remember Bocardo में there's a C in the name, so direct reduction not possible. They have to change the name. What does the name change to? Doxomusk. Now identify the letters. You have K, you have S, you have M, you have S, you have K. Okay. Whenever you have S and K combination, एक इसमें आएगा और एक और में आएगा. तो first do obversion, then do conversion. Okay. So Doxomosk is figure number 3. Sorry, Bocardo is figure number 3. So Doxomos will also be figure number 3. So middle term is in this position. Okay. Now, the mode will remain the same in Doxomos and Bocardo. So O, A, O, O, A, O, O, A, and O. Nature you write Doxomos. Okay. Now apply the rules. KS मैंने क्या बोला पहले K तो MOP this O is the major premise so you apply K over here and the second K is the after the conclusion so apply over here, K over here. So MOP becomes whenever you do obversion quantity changes quality remains the same so O becomes I and so M I and predicate का contradictory so P dash and then MAS as it is minor premise conclusion SOP will be SI P dash. Okay, so K is done. Now you'll take care of the S. So MIP dash ko simple converse if I do, I ka simple converse is I, interchanging subject predicate. So P dash I M. Similarly, I'll do S on the conclusion. SI P dash will become P dash I S. Okay, no change to the minor premise. Now I'll do transposition. So interchange major and minor. And after doing that, I'm getting the first figure. And mode is AII. So doxomos D, Derica D. Done. Okay, I have given yeah, this is more or less like fine. Indirect reduction में there are steps, so I've given that in class. Please take it from someone. But yeah, this is more than enough for direct reduction. You can beach may add lines and explain if you want. Okay, let's do one more. Brahman tip. Brahman tip में you have इसने vertical नहीं किया. हाँ. So you have M. अरे, sorry. You have M. You have P. That's it. So यहाँ पे I can apply M in one step only because there's not much. So P मतलब conversion per accident. So remember I told you conversion per accident A और I का होता है. तो I है तो A होगा, A है तो I होगा. So now we have I and P है तो it becomes A. And conversion मतलब interchanging subject and predicate. So SIP becomes after simple conversion per accident becomes PAS. And यहाँ पे I'm also interchanging by applying transposition. So major becomes minor premise becomes major premise. So now we have the first figure and AAA, which is Barbara. So B for Brahmantic, B for Barbara. Done. Okay. So that was about direct reduction. Now, Baracco and Bocardo both direct reduction not possible. We have to change the names. Now let's see indirect reduction. क्या process है? Okay. Now indirect reduction का method is when like the name suggests indirect. So you start with the opposite. You start with saying suppose. So if you're given like do अच्छा indirect reduction का question हमेशा आता ही है. So don't skip this. So suppose you're given do indirect reduction of Baracco. So basically what it means is you have to use the first figure का mood and prove that Baracco is valid. So what you do is your first step is suppose Baracco is invalid. Always this first step will be suppose Baracco is invalid. Okay, I've given this proper notes. Okay, please write it like that. Now, what will happen if any syllogism is invalid? You know that the premises will be true and conclusion will be false. Okay, if you want, you can go to the implication P implies Q card truth table to understand this. But the only case in which an argument is invalid when you have true premise giving false conclusion. So if we are assuming Barocco is invalid, then we'll get the premises as true and conclusion as false. Okay, this is Barocco. Now, uh, we have this proposition as false. So यहाँ पे we'll apply contradictory. Okay, from square of opposition. So SOP का O का contradictory is A. Okay, so we know that contradictories can never be true together or false together. So SOP अगर false है तो SAP will be true. Okay, again पूरा step by step दिया है वैसे लिखना. So now we have a new proposition SAP as true. यहाँ तक सब में सेम है ठीक है सारे डायरेक्ट में यहाँ तक स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है पहले अज्यूम करना है इनवैलिड है फिर ट्रू ट्रू फॉल्स आएगा फिर जो फॉल्स आएगा उसको कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी निकाल के ट्रू करना है नाउ नेक्स्ट स्टेप सो नाउ वी हैव टू यूज एसएपी विथ वन ऑफ द प्रीमाइसेस ओके सो ट्रू ट्रू और ये ट्रू ये तीन पॉसिबल इन तीनों के साथ ही खेलना है सो एसएपी अगर ट्रू है तो मुझे इसको या तो पीएएम या तो एसओएम दोनों में से किसी एक से कंबाइन करके फर्स्ट फिगर बनाना है सो इफ आई डू let's see SOM and SAP. Okay, if I do this is N. I'm getting the third figure and ऊपर नीचे करूंगा तो भी सेम ही आएगा. So now if I do uh, PAM and SAP, am I getting first figure? Yes. If I do other way around, SAPN, PAM, this is fourth figure. So not possible. Only one possibility. Okay. So what we'll do is SAP will be the minor premise. Okay. PAM will be the major premise. We are getting the first figure. Okay. Now if these two are the premises and we are going for one of the valid modes of the first figure and both are A, so only Barbara is possible. So conclusion will also be A, and that will be middle term will disappear, and major term will be predicate of conclusion, minor term will be subject of conclusion. So we'll get a new proposition which is SAM is true. Okay, so just remember यहाँ पे जो proposition आएगा आपको उसको दोनों में से किसी एक प्रीमाइस के साथ मिला के या तो बारबरा या तो सेलेरेंट या तो डेरी या तो फेरियो में कन्वर्ट करना. Okay, okay, reason given, modes of the first figure are valid and perfect. That's how we can do this. Next, so after this we have, so if we have SAM is true, again apply that same rule. Contradictory है तो A का contradictory is O, so SAM true है तो SOM will be false. That is the next step. Now, but if SOM is false, we started off with SOM number 2 में देखो SOM is true. So we have arrived at a contradiction. Okay, and if you have arrived at a contradiction, then we can, that means the first step था, अरे क्या the first step था, suppose Baroque is invalid, that is wrong. That assumption is wrong. So therefore, last step is Baroque is valid. Okay. So once again, uh, we got SOM as false, but we started off with SOM as true. Then the premise that you left out, वही आपको लाना है as false, because starting में true था, and that is your contradiction, and therefore initial assumption is wrong. Therefore, Baroque is valid. This is the indirect method. Okay. Now let's see of precision. First few steps are same. Suppose precision is invalid. If it's invalid, you'll get true premise and false conclusion. And then conclusion जो आएगा उसका contradiction निकाल के true बनाना. So we precision is figure number 4. So true PEM, MIS, SOP. Okay, precision है तो EIO will be the mood. So you have true premise and false conclusion. So you have SOP as false, उसका contradictory will be true. So you have SAP as true. Now when you have SAP as true, you combine with either PEM or MIS to make it first figure. So when you do PEM and SAP, you get the first figure. Okay, and if these two are true, conclusion अगर हम like E और A के बाद तो फिर E कर सकते हैं accelerant. So conclusion will be S, E, and M. P will disappear because it's a middle term, and this will also be true. Okay, so now we have SEM is true. Now remember the proposition that we left out, MIS. आपको उसको false लेके आना है. So SEM से MIS आपको पहुंचना है. Let's see how to do that. So SIM, SEM अगर true है तो उसका contradictory will be E का contradictory is high. So contradictory will be false. So SEM true though SIM is false. Okay. Now we apply conversion. Conversion में interchanging subject predicate I का I रहता है. तो MIS is false. मिल गया. So starting में MIS true था अभी false है. Contradiction. Assumption wrong. Therefore precision is valid. Done. Okay. So किसी किसी में you might have to do this extra, but just remember the core logic and you should be fine. Okay, and steps wise, write it. Let's see last indirect reduction of Phelipton. Phelipton में we know that it's if you don't know then revise. थोड़ा बहुत एक बार if you read it या मतलब practice करोगे याद हो जाएगा. So Phelipton is third figure, so middle term will be the subject in both premise. And Phelipton है तो you have E, A, and O. So E, A, and O. Now you have SOP as false. So uska contrary will be true. SAP is true. Now we combine SAP with either MEP or MAS to get first figure. So we combine SAP with MAS to get first figure. Both are A. Conclusion also be A. Background. Okay, and conclusion will be MAP. Now MAP is true, so its contrary will be false. MEP will be false. Sorry, this is A ka contrary will be false. Now in some cases you might have to remember contrary as well. Remember contraries can never be true together, but they can be false together. So अगर एक truth दिया दूसरा false होता है. Okay, so A और E का relation is contrary. So if MAP is true, MEP is false. Directly you can go and say contradiction, therefore assumption wrong, therefore Pelepton is valid. Okay, so ये अलग अलग थोड़े बहुत possibilities है, but इसमें सब हो जाता है. तो I think I've covered all the scenarios. ठीक है, चलो let's solve one. The question is, some imperfect beings are not honest, for all men are imperfect and some men are not honest. Tell me the conclusion. Try. Okay. So conclusion is some imperfect beings are not honest. For मतलब because. And जो बाद में आ रहा that those are the premises. All men are imperfect. Some men are not honest. Okay. So what is the step? You always go for the conclusion first. So some imperfect beings are not honest is the conclusion. Okay. Now I'm denoting imperfect beings with I, honest with H, and men with M. So my conclusion will be IOH. Okay. Some imperfect beings are not honest. So I and H and O proposition to O. Now I will be in the minor premise. So minor premise is the one that has imperfect beings. So I have all men are imperfect. So men imperfect and center में A. And the remaining is in the major premise, which is some men are not honest. So M and H, center में O. So this is my mood is O, A, and O. And which figure is this? Third figure. Okay. So now you know third figure में O, A, O is Bocardo. So now you get the syllogism. And now you have to do the reduction. So you can either get directly the name or you can get like this question. So Bocardo yeah now अगर डायरेक्ट पूछा तो डायरेक्ट करना इनडायरेक्ट पूछा तो इनडायरेक्ट करना एंड जो इस बोकार्डो को पहले दिखाया था इनडायरेक्ट डिडक्शन बस सेम प्रोसेस एंड डायरेक्ट आल्सो ओके so yes these questions will be like somewhere from these types only okay do some practices this will be fine okay but indirect reduction always comes and all of this dilemma syllogism reduction um, it's very scoring so go through these videos again and again if you want. Okay, chalo, thank you.